Elvis Presley, the name itself brings to mind music, swiveling hips, and a certain kind of American dream. But when Elvis died in 1977, his story didn't end. In fact, a whole new chapter began. It was a chapter about business, about intellectual property, and about turning a cultural icon into a lasting empire. Think about it. How do you keep a dead rock star relevant for decades? How do you make his voice sing from new speakers, his face appear on new products, and his legend grow bigger than ever? It's not just about his music. It's about his name, his face, his look. It's about licensing. And this story, The Business of Elvis, is a wild ride. It shows us how fame can be monetized even after life. It teaches us about legal fights, shrewd decisions, and the sometimes shocking value of a legacy. It asks big questions about who owns a legend and how much that ownership is really worth. Number 10, can a legacy be worth more dead than alive? And Elvis Presley died on August 16th, 1977. He was only 42. His death created a huge void, of course, but it also created a massive business problem. For years, his manager, Colonel Tom Parker, handled almost everything. Parker was a shrewd operator. He controlled Elvis's career with an iron fist, signing deals for music, movies, and merchandise. But many people believe Parker's deals favored him heavily. Elvis often only received a fraction of the income. He owned very little of his own music masters. His finances were a mess. After his death, the estate was in serious debt. Estimates put it around $500,000 to $1 million. A lot of money back then. It seemed like the king had left behind a kingdom in financial ruin, but legends don't just disappear. They can actually grow bigger in death. Elvis was a global phenomenon. His music still sold. His image was everywhere. The challenge was how to control it and how to make money from it in a fair way for his family. This is where the concept of a celebrity estate really comes into play. It's not just about managing assets. It's about managing an icon. Priscilla Presley, Elvis's former wife, stepped in. She was named one of the executors of his will. The estate's main beneficiary was their daughter, Lisa Marie Presley, who was just 9 years old. Priscilla, along with other advisors, quickly realized the situation was dire. Colonel Parker still had a contract. He still held rights to much of Elvis's image and likeness even after Elvis died. And he kept making deals that didn't seem to benefit the estate much. It was a legal and financial tangle. The estate didn't own Graceland outright, and the house itself cost a lot to maintain. It was a tourist attraction, but not open to the public in a way that generated significant income. Many business journals at the time talked about the Elvis problem. How do you rescue a brand that's iconic but financially strapped? This wasn't a typical corporate turnaround. It was about a person, a myth. Priscilla and her team faced immense pressure. They had to figure out how to generate income, deal with Parker, and protect Elvis's image all at once. Well, they looked at other celebrity estates, but few had the global reach and constant demand for merchandise that Elvis did. One key decision was made in the early 1980s. The estate sued Colonel Parker to reclaim control over Elvis's name, likeness, and image. This was a landmark legal battle. It argued that Parker had exploited Elvis and had acted against the estate's best interests. This fight was crucial. It wasn't just about money. It was about ownership of the Elvis brand itself. Ultimately, a court settlement in 1983 largely favored the estate. It freed Elvis Presley Enterprises, EPE, from Parker's control and allowed them to license his image directly. This was a pivotal moment. It shifted power from a manager who had been with Elvis for decades to the family. It meant that for the first time, the estate could truly build a strategy around Elvis's likeness. And what about the value? In the years immediately after his death, Elvis was still selling millions of records. But without proper control over licensing, much of that money wasn't flowing to his estate. Once EPE got control, the potential unlocked was huge. Graceland itself, once a financial drain, became the cornerstone of the new strategy. Its opening to the public in 1982 was a gamble that paid off massively. It turned a private home into a public shrine and a major revenue generator. This move proved that the tangible assets like Graceland could fuel the intangible ones, like the brand image. What if Parker had kept control? Would the Elvis brand have faded? How much revenue was lost in those initial years because of the financial disarray? And what is the true cost, beyond money, of losing control over a legend's image? Number 9, when does a house become a business headquarters? Graceland, it's more than a mansion in Memphis. It's a pilgrimage site for millions of fans. But in the early 1980s, it was a problem. The estate owed a lot of money. Graceland cost $500,000 a year to maintain, and Elvis's daughter, Lisa Marie, would inherit it all when she turned 25. Something had to change. Priscilla Presley, as mentioned, really stepped up. She was the one who pushed for a radical idea, open Graceland to the public. Many people thought it was a terrible idea. They worried it would cheapen Elvis's memory. They worried about security, but Priscilla saw it differently. She saw it as a way to generate income, honor Elvis, and give fans what they wanted, a connection to their idol. This decision, made in 1982, was a game changer for the Elvis estate and for the entire business of celebrity licensing. Elvis Presley Enterprises, or EPE, was formed to manage this new business venture. Jack Soden was hired as CEO. He brought in business acumen and a vision for how to turn Graceland into a profitable tourist attraction. The initial investment to get Graceland ready for visitors was around $500,000. It was a huge risk for an estate already in debt, but the doors opened on June 7th, 1982. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Lines stretched for blocks. People came from all over the world. Graceland quickly became profitable. It paid back its initial investment within 38 days. This astonishing success showed the sheer power of the Elvis brand even after his death. But Graceland wasn't just about ticket sales. It became the physical embodiment of the Elvis brand. It was the hub for all licensing activities. Imagine, a company's headquarters is the very place its founder lived and died. This created an authentic connection. It gave EPE a base from which to approve or reject merchandise, music projects, and other ventures. They could say, does this fit the Graceland standard? It became a sort of quality control. The revenue from Graceland allowed EPE to do several things. First, it paid off debts. Second, it provided a steady income stream for Lisa Marie Presley. Third, and perhaps most importantly for the long-term business, it funded the legal battles and strategic moves needed to control Elvis's name and likeness globally. EPE could now invest in protecting its intellectual property. Business journals at the time highlighted Graceland's success as a case study in niche tourism and brand revitalization. It wasn't just a museum, it was an experience. It sold memories, and those memories sold products. Everything from T-shirts to replica jumpsuits could be found there or licensed through EPE. This integrated approach, where the physical location supports the intangible brand, became a model for other celebrity estates. And yet, managing Graceland meant balancing commercialism with reverence. How do you sell Elvis-branded teddy bears without disrespecting his legacy? This was a constant tightrope walk for EPE. They had to ensure that the products and experiences enhanced, rather than detracted from, the king's image. This strategy has been largely successful for decades. In 2018, Graceland attracted over 600,000 visitors, contributing significantly to EPE's overall revenue, which Forbes reported as around $27 million that year for the overall estate. What if Graceland had failed as a tourist attraction? Would the entire Elvis business empire have collapsed? How do you measure the value of authenticity when licensing a celebrity's image? And is there a point where commercialization goes too far, even for a legend like Elvis? Number 8, who really owns Elvis's face? This is where things get tricky, legally speaking. When Elvis died, he left behind a massive amount of intellectual property, even if he didn't own all of it directly. We're talking about his name, his distinctive voice, his signature poses, his TCB Lightning Bolt logo, and of course his face. How do you protect that? This isn't just about copyright, which covers music and written works. It's about something called the right of publicity. The right of publicity is a state-level law in the United States. It essentially says that an individual has the right to control the commercial use of their identity. This includes their name, likeness, and other personal attributes. It prevents people from using a celebrity's image to sell products without permission. For dead celebrities, this right can often pass to their estate. This is crucial for the Elvis business model. Without it, anyone could put Elvis's face on a mug or a t-shirt, and the estate wouldn't make a dime. In the early days after Elvis's death, this right was far from clear. Colonel Parker, remember, had signed away many of these rights during Elvis's lifetime. When the estate sued Parker, part of that battle was about reclaiming control over these fundamental image rights. The settlement in 1983 was a massive win because it consolidated these rights under Elvis Presley Enterprises. This meant EPE became the gatekeeper for all things Elvis image related, but it wasn't a simple path. There were legal battles, some stretching into the 1990s and beyond against various unauthorized uses of Elvis's image. For instance, there was a famous case in the 1980s involving Elvis Presley's image and likeness Inc. These kinds of cases were vital for establishing legal precedents. They solidified the estate's power to enforce its right of publicity. The legal landscape also varies from state to state. Tennessee, where Elvis lived and where Graceland is, has strong post-mortem right of publicity laws. This was a big advantage for EPE. These laws generally state that the right of publicity extends for a certain number of years after a person's death, sometimes even indefinitely. For Elvis, it means his estate can continue to license his image for the foreseeable future. This isn't just about stopping unauthorized products, it's also about building a brand. By controlling who uses Elvis's image, EPE can ensure consistency and quality. They can make sure Elvis isn't associated with products that might harm his legacy. Imagine Elvis on a low-quality, poorly made item. That would cheapen the brand. EPE's legal team works tirelessly to send cease and desist letters, file lawsuits, and educate potential licensees on the proper way to engage with the Elvis brand. This constant vigilance is expensive. Protecting intellectual property requires lawyers, investigators, and a dedicated team. But it's an essential investment. Without it, the value of Elvis's name and likeness would be significantly eroded. Forbes often notes how crucial strong IP protection is for top-earning dead celebrities, and Elvis is consistently near the top of that list. His consistent earnings, reported sometimes in the tens of millions annually, are directly tied to the estate's ability to control and license his image. What if state laws changed, weakening post-mortem publicity rights? Could a deepfake Elvis confuse fans and challenge the estate's control? And how much financially does it cost to constantly defend a global icon's image? Number 7. How do you sell a ghost? The art of licensing. Once Elvis Presley Enterprises had control over Elvis's image and likeness, the real business began licensing. This is how you sell a ghost. You don't sell the person. You sell the idea of the person, his image, his name, his voice, his style. And you do it by letting other companies use those elements in exchange for money. The range of Elvis licensed products is incredibly vast. Think about it. There are the obvious ones: t-shirts, posters, mugs, keychains, but it goes much, much deeper. There have been Elvis branded guitars, slot machines, even a postal stamp, which became one of the most popular commemorative stamps ever issued by the U.S. Postal Service, selling over 500 million copies. There are Elvis impersonator contests, tribute artist tours, and official Elvis fan clubs, all operating under the EPE umbrella or with their blessing. The licensing strategy is carefully managed. It's not about putting Elvis's face on just anything. EPE has always focused on strategic partnerships that enhance the brand. For example, partnering with a reputable music label like RCA, now part of Sony Music Entertainment for new album releases or re-releases. Or allowing a company to produce a high-quality collectible item that appeals to serious fans. They look for authenticity and relevance. Consider the example of the Cirque du Soleil show Viva Elvis in Las Vegas, which ran from 2010 to 2012. This was a major licensing deal, integrating Elvis's music and imagery into a large-scale theatrical production. It required extensive collaboration between EPE and Cirque du Soleil to ensure the show truly captured the essence of Elvis. These kinds of big-ticket projects show the potential for premium licensing. Another example is the recent Elvis movie, directed by Baz Luhrmann. This was a huge undertaking, giving a new generation access to his story, and required the estate's cooperation, providing a massive boost to brand visibility and new licensing opportunities. EPE has different tiers of licensing. Some are simple product agreements, where a company pays a royalty, a percentage of sales, to use Elvis's image on a specific product. Others are much more complex, involving multiple elements like music rights, image use, and promotional activities. The goal is to maximize revenue while maintaining brand integrity. What are the numbers like? While specific royalty rates are confidential, industry standards for celebrity licensing can range from 5% to 15% or even higher for premium deals of wholesale sales. Given the sheer volume and variety of Elvis products and experiences, this adds up to significant revenue each year. Forbes consistently places Elvis as one of the highest-earning dead celebrities, often bringing in tens of millions of dollars annually. For example, in 2023, he was estimated to earn around $100 million due to the success of the movie and various new ventures. This shows the power of a well-managed licensing program. The challenges are many. Preventing counterfeiting and unauthorized products is a constant battle. Maintaining brand consistency across diverse products is also tough. And predicting market trends for an icon who died decades ago requires foresight. EPE must decide if a new product or experience will resonate with Elvis's loyal fan base, attract new fans, and align with his timeless image. They cannot just say yes to every offer, they have to protect the legacy. How much revenue is left on the table by being selective with licensing deals? Could an oversaturation of Elvis products actually harm his long-term value? And what new technologies like virtual reality could open up entirely new licensing frontiers that we can't even imagine yet? Number 6, beyond the king, what happens when an empire changes hands? The Elvis Presley estate, initially controlled by Priscilla Presley and EPE, eventually went through a significant change in ownership. This highlights a crucial aspect of celebrity estate management: the long-term sustainability and future of the brand. In 2005, Robert F.X. Sillerman, a media executive, bought 85% of Elvis Presley Enterprises, including Graceland, from Lisa Marie Presley for approximately $100 million. That Lisa Marie retained 15% ownership and continued to own the actual Graceland mansion and its immediate grounds, while the operational business and intellectual property rights were transferred. Sillerman's company was called CKX Inc., later renamed Core Media Group. His vision was to consolidate iconic brands under one roof. He also acquired rights to Muhammad Ali and interests in the American Idol franchise. For Elvis, this acquisition brought new capital and a different strategic perspective. Sillerman believed in expanding the Elvis brand globally and into new media. This meant more aggressive licensing, more international partnerships, and exploring new avenues like stage shows and interactive experiences. This move was met with mixed reactions. Some fans worried that a corporate entity would dilute the authenticity of the Elvis brand. Others saw it as a necessary step to inject new life and resources into the estate. Business analysts often debated whether such large acquisitions of cultural icons were sustainable. Could a company truly understand and manage something as personal as a dead celebrity's legacy? Under CKX, there were efforts to revitalize the brand. There were plans for an Elvis-themed resort in Las Vegas, though not all came to fruition. They focused on larger-scale projects like the aforementioned Cirque du Soleil show and global touring exhibitions of Elvis artifacts. The goal was to move beyond traditional merchandise and create immersive experiences that would attract a younger audience while satisfying loyal fans. However, CKX Inc. faced its own financial challenges, especially during the 2008 financial crisis. The company eventually went through bankruptcy proceedings. This shows that even with iconic brands, corporate ownership isn't a guaranteed success. Managing a portfolio of diverse brands, some living and some deceased, presents its own set of complexities. Then, in 2013, a significant shift occurred again. Authentic Brands Group ABG acquired a controlling interest in Elvis Presley Enterprises from Core Media Group. ABG is a major player in brand management, owning rights to Marilyn Monroe, Muhammad Ali again, Shaquille O'Neal, and a vast portfolio of fashion and lifestyle brands. Their strategy is to acquire brands, often licensing out most of the operations to specialized partners, while focusing on overall brand strategy and intellectual property enforcement. Under ABG, the Elvis brand has seen a renewed push for global expansion and digital engagement. ABG is known for its aggressive and strategic licensing approach. They often partner with companies that have expertise in specific product categories or geographic markets. For example, they might license Elvis's music rights to a major record label, his film rights to a production company, and his merchandise rights to various manufacturers, all while maintaining overall brand control. The success of the Baz Luhrmann Elvis movie in 2022, which generated significant box office and critical acclaim, was a major win under ABG's management, proving the enduring power of the brand when handled with the right vision. The movie itself spurred new interest and led to a surge in music sales and merchandise. And these changes in ownership illustrate the evolution of managing a major celebrity estate. It moves from personal family management to corporate aggregation to a specialized brand management firm. Each phase brings different strengths and challenges. The consistent thread is the constant need to adapt, innovate, and protect the core intellectual property that is Elvis Presley. If Lisa Marie Presley had never sold a majority stake, would the Elvis empire be as vast or as profitable today? How much creative control does a brand management group truly exert versus the creative partners they license to? And what are the risks for a brand like Elvis when it becomes just one of many in a large corporate portfolio? Number 5, what's Elvis worth? The numbers game. Putting a dollar figure on Elvis Presley is complicated. He's not a stock or a piece of real estate in the traditional sense. His value is tied to his name, his image, his music, and the emotional connection people have to him. But business journals try to do it anyway because it tells us a lot about the power of celebrity and intellectual property. For decades, Forbes magazine has tracked the earnings of dead celebrities. Elvis Presley consistently ranks at or near the top of this list. This isn't just a vanity metric, it reflects the ongoing economic engine that is the Elvis brand. In some years, Elvis has earned over $50 million, sometimes even $100 million, making him one of the highest earning deceased celebrities in the world. How do they calculate this? It's a combination of factors. 1, music royalties now. This includes sales of his vast back catalog, streaming revenue, and synchronization licenses when his music is used in films, TV shows, or commercials. Even though Elvis didn't own his masters outright, the estate earns royalties from these uses. It's a multi-million-dollar annual operation in itself. 5.4. Film, TV, and stage rights deals for biographical films like Baz Luhrmann's Elvis, documentaries, stage productions, and TV specials. These are often large, one-time or ongoing revenue streams. 5. Advertising and promotional partnerships. Major brands sometimes pay significant sums to associate with Elvis's image for advertising campaigns. When Robert F.X. Sillerman bought 85% of EPE in 2005 for around $100 million, that sale put a tangible value on the core business assets at that time. It implied a total valuation of around $117 million. But that was almost 20 years ago. Since then, the brand has been revitalized, digital platforms have grown, and new projects like the blockbuster movie have created immense value. The Forbes estimates, which often factor in a mix of actual earnings and projected future value, give a clearer picture of the brand's enduring economic power. For instance, in 2023, following the success of the film, Elvis's estimated earnings surged to $100 million, demonstrating how a well-executed media project can massively impact valuation. The value isn't just in current earnings, it's also in the brand equity. What is the recognition factor of Elvis Presley worldwide? It's almost universal. This intangible asset makes future licensing deals easier to secure and often allows for higher royalty rates. A brand with high recognition and positive associations is inherently more valuable. Consider the challenge of valuing something like cool. Elvis is cool, he always will be. That cool factor translates into consumer demand for products associated with him. This is hard to quantify on a balance sheet, but it's a real driver of revenue. Analysts often compare Elvis's estate to other iconic brands, both celebrity and corporate, when trying to understand its long-term stability and potential. The fact that he continues to generate tens of millions annually, decades after his death, places him in an elite category of cultural assets. But there are always unknowns. What if popular culture shifts dramatically and Elvis loses his appeal with younger generations? What if new technologies create easy ways to replicate his image without requiring licenses? And how do you factor in the emotional attachment of fans, which fuels so much of the economic activity, into a purely financial valuation? Number 4, the digital resurrection Elvis in the age of streaming and AI. Elvis Presley died before the internet, before streaming, before social media, and certainly before artificial intelligence was a mainstream concept. Yet, his estate thrives in this digital age. This shows how adaptable a powerful brand can be. The digital landscape has opened up new avenues for monetization and new challenges for protection. Music streaming is a huge part of the story. While physical record sales have declined, streaming platforms like Spotify, Apple Music, and Amazon Music have given Elvis's music a new life. Millions of people stream his songs every day. The estate earns royalties from these streams. This requires sophisticated rights management to ensure all plays are tracked and compensated. It's a different game than selling vinyl records, with micropayments adding up to significant sums over time. EPE, or its licensing partners like Sony Music, must navigate complex agreements with these platforms. Social media is another unexpected arena for Elvis. Official Elvis Presley accounts on platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok have millions of followers. These accounts share archival photos, video clips, and news about events. They keep the brand relevant and engage directly with fans, both old and new. This direct connection helps to maintain the emotional pull of Elvis. It also provides a platform to promote new merchandise, events, and media projects. For example, snippets of his performances or lesser-known facts shared on TikTok can go viral, introducing him to a whole new young audience. But the biggest and most complex frontier is artificial intelligence and deepfake technology. We've seen examples of AI-generated voices and videos that can convincingly mimic real people. What happens when someone uses AI to create a new Elvis song or a new Elvis performance without the estate's permission? This poses a massive legal and ethical challenge to the right of publicity. If AI can recreate his voice or likeness perfectly, how does the estate enforce its rights? This isn't just theoretical. There are already discussions in the entertainment industry about how to regulate AI's use of celebrity images and voices. The SAG-AFTRA strikes in Hollywood in 2023 highlighted concerns about studios using AI to replicate actors' likenesses without fair compensation or explicit consent. For deceased celebrities like Elvis, this issue is even more complex. Does the right of publicity extend to AI-generated likenesses? Many legal experts believe it should, but the technology moves faster than the law. The estate has to be proactive. They might need to consider licensing AI tools themselves, perhaps to create authorized virtual reality experiences or even new performances where Elvis can interact with fans in a digital space. We've already seen virtual concerts featuring deceased artists. An Elvis hologram tour was even planned at one point. This shows a willingness to embrace new tech, but always under strict control. And then there's the metaverse, the idea of a persistent virtual world where people can interact, shop, and be entertained. An Elvis experience in the metaverse could be huge. Imagine walking through a virtual Graceland, attending a virtual concert, or buying digital Elvis wearables for your avatar. These are the kinds of speculative, high-tech licensing opportunities that the estate, particularly under ABG, is likely exploring. The goal is to keep Elvis alive and relevant in every new medium that emerges. How will legal frameworks adapt to protect intellectual property in the age of AI and deepfakes? Could an unauthorized AI Elvis actually compete with the official brand, diluting its value? And what are the ethical implications of creating entirely new performances from a deceased artist, even with estate approval? Number 3. The King's global reach, a universal language. Elvis Presley was an American phenomenon, but his appeal quickly spread far beyond the United States. His music, his charisma, his rebel image resonated with audiences around the world. This global reach is a massive asset for his estate and a key driver of licensing revenue. Think about the numbers. Elvis sold over 1 billion records worldwide. That's more than any other solo artist in history. His music has been translated, covered, and cherished in countless countries. This means there's a market for Elvis products and experiences in Europe, Asia, Australia, and beyond. EPE, and now Authentic Brands Group, leverages this global recognition. Licensing deals are not just confined to the US. They are negotiated with companies in different countries, respecting local laws and cultural nuances. For example, an Elvis merchandise line that works well in Japan might be different from one targeted at the German market. The estate needs partners who understand these regional differences. This international approach multiplies the revenue potential significantly. Concerts and events are a big part of global outreach. Tribute artists and official tours, sometimes featuring Elvis on a big screen with live backing bands, travel the world. The Elvis the Exhibition, which showcases artifacts from Graceland, has toured major cities globally, attracting hundreds of thousands of visitors. These exhibitions not only generate income, but also keep the brand visible and exciting for international fans. They remind people of the depth of his career and personal life. The international film market is also crucial. The Baz Luhrmann Elvis movie was a global hit, grossing over $288 million worldwide. Its success in countries like the UK, Australia, and Canada, as well as in non-English speaking markets, introduced Elvis to a new generation of international viewers. This global cinematic release generated a huge amount of buzz and opened up new licensing opportunities in those regions. It showed that Elvis is not just an American icon, but a global one. Managing a global brand like Elvis involves significant challenges. For legal enforcement of intellectual property rights varies from country to country. What's protected in the US might be harder to defend in other jurisdictions. Counterfeiting and unauthorized use of his image are global problems that require constant vigilance and legal action in multiple countries. This means EPE and ABG must have legal teams and partners around the world. Cultural sensitivity is also important. While Elvis is universally loved, how his image is used needs to be respectful of local customs and traditions. A successful global licensing strategy means understanding these differences and building relationships with local partners who can navigate them. The goal is to be globally consistent in brand quality, but locally relevant in execution. The sheer volume of international fan clubs, tribute acts, and dedicated fan bases further demonstrates this global appeal. These aren't just passive consumers, they are active participants in keeping the Elvis legacy alive. Their passion fuels the demand for official merchandise, experiences, and content, driving the global licensing engine. It shows that Elvis transcends language barriers and cultural divides. What is the next untapped international market for the Elvis brand, and how do you penetrate it respectfully? Could an official Elvis theme park be built outside the US? And how does the brand manager balance global commercialization with retaining the unique American essence of Elvis? Number 2, the enduring mystery: why does Elvis still matter so much? It's decades after his death, Elvis Presley remains a cultural touchstone. He's not just a memory, he's an active presence. His music is still played, his image is still recognized, and his story continues to fascinate. Why? Why does Elvis matter so much, and how does this translate into enduring business success for his estate? Part of it is the sheer volume of his output. Elvis recorded hundreds of songs, starred in dozens of movies, and performed countless concerts. His catalog is massive and diverse, covering rock and roll, gospel, country, and ballads. This means there's something for almost everyone. His music isn't niche. It's broad and appeals across generations. New listeners are constantly discovering his work. Then there's the persona. Elvis was incredibly charismatic. He was handsome, rebellious, yet also polite and deeply spiritual. He represented a potent mix of sex appeal, raw talent, and an almost innocent vulnerability. This complex persona created a powerful connection with fans. He was the king, but he also felt accessible. That personal connection is something money can't buy, and it's something that fuels repeat engagement and a willingness to purchase licensed products. Fans don't just buy a t-shirt, they buy a piece of the legend. The tragic hero narrative also plays a role. His meteoric rise, his incredible fame, his struggles, and his early death create a compelling human story. People are drawn to stories of triumph and tragedy. This narrative ensures his story continues to be told and retold through films, documentaries, and books. Each new telling introduces him to new audiences and reinforces his legendary status for existing fans. This constant re-engagement is a goldmine for an estate seeking to license his story. His impact on popular culture is undeniable. Elvis didn't just sing songs, he changed music, fashion, and social norms. He was a pioneer who broke barriers. That kind of lasting cultural influence ensures his relevance even as tastes change. He's often seen as the beginning of modern rock and roll. This makes him a subject of academic study, historical documentaries, and artistic interpretations, all of which keep his name in the public discourse. The careful management of his estate also contributes. Priscilla Presley's early decisions, followed by the strategic oversight of CKX and Now Authentic Brands Group, have ensured that the brand remains vibrant and relevant. They've avoided oversaturation and protected the brand's integrity, which helps maintain its value. They have made strategic choices, like the Baz Luhrmann movie, to reignite interest and present Elvis to a new generation in a way that feels fresh and exciting. This isn't accidental, it's the result of conscious business strategy. The emotional connection of Graceland is also a unique factor. Very few deceased celebrities have a physical place that fans can visit to connect with them. Graceland serves as a constant reminder of Elvis, a sacred space that reinforces his legend. It's a tangible manifestation of his intangible fame. Consider the data. Decades of consistent high earnings for the estate. Millions of albums sold every year. Billions of streams. Continual media projects. This isn't just about nostalgia, it's about a living, breathing brand that continues to resonate with people across generations and cultures. The king still reigns, not just in our hearts, but in the marketplace. What will be the defining Elvis product or experience for the next generation, and will it be true to his essence? Could changing social values ever diminish his appeal, or is his legend truly timeless? And how much of his continued relevance is due to actual artistic merit versus the savvy business decisions of his estate? Number one, what challenges loom for the king's eternal kingdom? Even with decades of success and a robust business empire, the future for the Elvis Presley estate isn't without its challenges. Maintaining relevance for an icon who has been gone for nearly 50 years requires constant innovation, vigilance, and strategic thinking. One major challenge is the shifting landscape of intellectual property law. As discussed, AI and deepfake technology pose serious questions about the control over a celebrity's likeness and voice. And will existing right of publicity laws be sufficient to protect against sophisticated, unauthorized AI creations? The legal system often moves slowly, while technology moves very fast. The estate will need to be at the forefront of these legal discussions, potentially advocating for new legislation or setting new legal precedents. This is a battle that will likely define celebrity estates for decades to come. Another challenge is brand fatigue. While Elvis's appeal is broad, there's always a risk of oversaturation. Too many products, too many projects, or too many low-quality ventures could dilute the brand and make it less special. Authentic Brands Group, as the current steward, has a strong track record of managing many brands without diluting them, but it's a constant tightrope walk to ensure that every Elvis project enhances rather than detracts from his legacy. They have to continually ask themselves, does this truly serve the brand? Reaching new generations is also a continuous effort. While the Baz Luhrmann movie was a huge success in attracting younger fans, how does the estate continue that momentum? Will streaming services prioritize classic artists, or will new music dominate algorithms? The estate needs to find innovative ways to introduce Elvis to kids and teenagers who may not have grown up with his music or story. This could involve social media campaigns, video game integrations, or even animated series that introduce Elvis in a fresh context. The challenge is to make him cool and relevant without sacrificing his authenticity. The very nature of music consumption is also evolving. The decline of album sales and the rise of streaming mean that music revenue models are constantly changing. The estate needs to ensure its music rights are managed optimally to maximize earnings from these new platforms. This involves complex negotiations with streaming services and record labels. And then there's the ultimate question of legacy. As the generation who saw Elvis perform live passes on, what remains? The estate's job is to ensure that the stories, the music, and the impact of Elvis Presley are preserved and communicated effectively to future generations who never experienced his live presence. This means investing in archival preservation, educational initiatives, and experiences that truly capture his spirit. The ownership structure itself could change again. While ABG is a stable owner, businesses evolve. What if ABG decides to sell off some of its brands? What would that mean for Elvis? Any change in ownership could bring a new strategic direction, new opportunities, and new risks. The stability of the brand ultimately relies on the long-term vision of its stewards. The future of Elvis's empire rests on a delicate balance, honoring the past while embracing the future, protecting intellectual property in a rapidly changing digital world, and continually engaging new audiences without alienating loyal fans. It's a testament to the power of his legend that these questions are still so relevant. The king may be gone, but his business kingdom continues to face challenges that demand innovative answers, proving that a legacy is never truly static. What entirely new business models, perhaps in virtual reality or personalized AI experiences, will reshape how we consume celebrity legacies in the next 20 years? Will the cost of protecting intellectual property in a digital age eventually become unsustainable for celebrity estates? And in a world where anyone can create a digital replica, what will authenticity truly mean for iconic figures like Elvis?